welcome back to my channel. Thank you to my subscribers and welcome to the newcomers. I hope you like what you see, and if so, be part of this journey by subscribing. Give it those thumbs up, and if you do subscribe, hit that bell notification for new uploads. We are going to create this table runner today, which is very similar to, it's the same concept, same way of putting the flowers on. It's just a different flower and a different pattern from the Ruby table runner for the people that are used to following me and seeing my work. So this is the same design, just different pattern, different flowers on it. I hope you're going to enjoy this. And I want to mention, as you all know, it's been less than a year that I have the channel, so I'm not too familiar which apps are good to record and how to use some of the apps, how to edit. You know, I have to do all these things myself. So, of course, it's a little bit complicated for me trying to get used to these apps and these new ways of recording and editing and putting it out there for you guys. And it has been bugging me for the longest time because the recordings are always like in short view, you know, like too small of a view. And I tried so many different things with the app that I had to try to get a full screen, which I was never able with that app that I had to get a full screen. So that used to really, really bother me, but I had no other idea which other app was best for the recordings to put up to YouTube, because not every phone takes certain apps, you know what I'm saying? I hope you do anyway. So it's really been frustrating. And I had a comment from a lady that she's creating the rug. And she mentioned that it's very hard to see the pattern or the stitches because my hands are in the way. And I fully understand. And I thank you so much if you're seeing this video for the feedback. I deleted the app that I had and I went with the flow by installing another app. And finally, hopefully, I got it right this time with the full screen. I'm hoping to God that I do, because I don't know any other way, and I don't know any other app besides the one that I've gotten used to from the start of the channel. So I would love to have your feedback on that. And I do apologize. Of course, it's almost a year now filming with such small screen, and it's so devastating for me, and I could imagine for you creators that are trying to follow up my tutorials. I do apologize from the bottom of my heart, but I had no other way or experience to any type of app or to know how to even edit all this stuff that I've been doing. I've just been going with the flow and just been fortunate enough that I could have at least get it to upload it to YouTube, which I thought I was never going to be able to do that, but I guess there's always a higher power to help me out with things. So I hope this is going to work out on this tutorial. I put out already a video of a test. I hope it's going to work out. Okay, so we're going to get started on this beautiful pattern. Of course, you can use whatever colors you like. So I had started with this other flower because I'm not going to use the same color, just for you to see the different ways that you can play around with colors. So I'll be using this color on it, and I think it's going to look fab. But you can do a million one color if you like, you know. I had tried this one. I like it, but I decided not to stay with it. It's a very nice flower too. You can use all in one color only if you'd like. Now, to prepare for the flowers, I will link the link below for the flowers. And the best thing to do is get, if you're using one color, then except for the last row on the pattern, because you need to attach that to the pattern and into the flowers. But you can get it if you're using two colors like I'm using. I'm preparing the middle piece, and then I'm going to show you best here. So I used 2 rows of the yellow and the 2 last rows of this multicolored purple and yellow. This is a 4-ply, 100% cotton, meaning 4 strings. I use needle number 3 and the scissors. So if you're using 2 different colors or even one color only, don't do the last row until you're ready to put it onto the pattern attached to the other flowers. So you can get like pretty much everything prepared, all your middle pieces, especially if you're doing 2 colors. And then on the last row, you can add them on. Okay, so we're going to get started on the pattern. Like I said, I'll leave the link to the flowers below, or you can create your own flowers if you like. I do have other flowers in the playlist that might interest you on creating them, and use it for this pattern. So the purpose of this pattern being repeatedly, it's a smaller version. The other one has 2 meters, 2 feet long, and this one's about a foot and a half, more or less. And the purpose of this, I had many requests because the other one is like for 6-8 seater and up. I had people asking me if I can make it a smaller version for like a 4-seater, 6-seater, you know, because the other one is extremely big. So this one, I made it smaller for a 4-seater to a 6-seater, no problem, no issues. And of course, I wasn't going to create again the same pattern as Table Runner Ruby. So I decided to create this one in honor of Miss Linda Walton, which is a big follower of mine right from day one that I started my channel. So this is dedicated in honor of her, to Miss Linda. So I'm gonna call this table runner Linda, okay? And funny enough, in Portuguese, Linda means beautiful, and it is a beautiful pattern, because I say so, right? Okay, so we're gonna create this now with this centerpiece. Of course, you can go the length you want. I have on this one, I have only 2 designs on it. What do I mean by designs? I mean this. So if you create more of these, you can go as long as you like to an 8-seater, 12-seater, and so on. Now the tutorial I'm going to do only with one, because I don't need it to be bigger than this. I will have a small one just to put on the counter, and this one can go on the kitchen table. Okay, so I'm just going to create a square, and of course, by creating one, you can repeat the same rows following to the other one. So it's not necessarily that I have to continue to do the 2 of them on here, because as you see from the start, we started with 1 square. Now, if you're going to create the second part, of course, you have to restart all over again with 1 square and so on. So we're going to get to this, people. And I hope you're going to enjoy this tutorial. And let's hope that this video and this tutorial is going to be a full screen this time. I'm hoping to God, crossing fingers. And thank you so much for your patience. And I do apologize, okay? So we're going to get started, people. Thank you so much for your beautiful comments also, and for your tags and your creations. Some of you have been creating some of my patterns, which looks stunning, like Karen Coffee. It's stunning, 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 your patterns. And eventually I'll be making a video with the people that have been sending me pics and videos of the creations they've been taking out of my tutorials. So I will be creating sometime very soon a video just with their videos and their pics of their creation on my designs. Okay, so thank you, everyone. So this is purple also. I'll be using the same color, just different color of flower. And we're going to do a slip knot to start off. Let me get this a little bit more focused in. And we're going to do, counting from now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, until 47 chain stitch. So do yours, I'll do mine, and I'll meet you at the end. So now after we've done our 47 chain stitch, we're going to go back 5 space. So 1, 2, 3, 4 on your 5th one. Now make sure you grab right in the center where you have the 2 loops together, because if you grab only one little loop, it's going to bend like a U shape. We don't want that, okay? So we're going to do 20 double crochet, okay? And then once we do the 20 double crochet, because we're doing this first row here, we need to do a 2 chain stitch separation, okay? So on each space, grabbing these middle loops here of the stitch. That means you're grabbing two loops here together. We're going to do double crochets, 20 double crochets until we do the 2 chain separation, and then we're going to continue doing 20 more double crochets. So we're going to have a total 20 on one side and 20 on the other side. Remembering that these types of patterns, whatever you do on one side, you must do on the other side exactly the same. And I'm talking about the pattern here, obviously. Okay, so whatever we do here, we must do here. So now we are on our first row. So we're going to do 20 double crochets, 2 chain separation. We're going to skip 2 space and 20 again, double crochet. I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so I didn't go all the way to the end because I want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. So we have 20 double crochets. We're going to do a 2 chain or a 1 chain. For some of you that have a very loose stitch, you do only 1 chain separation. For those of you that are extremely tight, do 2 chain. We're going to skip 2 space and we're going to go into the 3rd space and we're going to create all the way to the end. You're supposed to have a total of 20 double crochets. Now, if you don't have a total all the way to the end of 20 double crochets, that means you're missing some chain stitch somewhere. Okay, so you must go back and redo your chain stitch to make sure you have 47 of it. Okay, if you're only missing like 1 chain stitch, like let's say you have 46, you don't have the 47, don't stress over it. You can just put 2 double crochets on the same space. Okay, so I mean, you're not going to take the whole thing down just because of 1 missing stitch. You just enter 2 double crochets on the same space at the end or anywhere where the 20 double crochets are, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so we're going to continue on and do the 20 double crochets. Okay. So you're going to have a nice straight line because if you only grab 1 loop, you're going to have a curved line like that. Okay, so I'll meet you now at the end. So now I've reached the end, as you can see, and the only thing left is the slip knot stitch. So it's going to be like that. You're going to turn your work around. You're going to go up chain 3. This is equal as a double crochet into the next space. Double crochet and again double crochet. So before we hit the square, we leave 2 behind. We're decreasing on the pattern here and we're going to increase the middle. So the sides were decreasing, the middle were increasing. So we're going to leave the 2 double crochets behind, next row 2 double crochets behind, and we're increasing on the squares in the middle. Okay, so we're going to continue until we meet just before the end of this row here where the square is. We leave 2 double crochets behind and we're going to do a 1 chain for some of us and a 2 chain for some of you that are creating these squares. If your stitch is extremely tight, you're going to do a 2 chain separation. If it's loose, you're only going to do a 1 chain separation. What happened here? My thread is all tangled up. Oh my goodness, I've been like stressing out over this app for quite some time now. I hope this is going to work out because I don't know what else to do. It's not like I know anybody that understands anything about apps here around me in the island. I'm sure there's people that do, but I have no connection to these people that must know about apps. So I'm on my own trying to figure this out, and hopefully I can figure this out. Okay, so we're going to do the double crochet here. Now you see we have 2 double crochets left. We're going to do 1 chain for some or 2 chains for others. Inside of the square, we're going to do 2 double crochet, or actually 3 double crochet, because we're going to have a total of 4. Okay, so we're going to have 4 double crochet. I'm almost knocked my camera down. 1 chain again. So remembering, everything you do on this side, you must do on the other side. We're going to skip 1, 2 on the third one. We're going to do our double crochets all the way to the end. Getting to the end, don't forget you must do your last one at the end, because sometimes it's so like tiny little double crochet at the end, we seem to forget to poke a hole right on the third space, and then we're short on the double crochets. Okay, so hopefully, like I was saying, we're going to get a full screen. You guys are going to see the stitch better and the patterns better, instead of like having this mini little photo cut on both sides, because the other app did not have that option for full screen, and that was like so frustrating. I used to play with that app a lot to figure it out, and I couldn't find the option for it. So I went through YouTube to check other people's videos to see if it indicated which ones they were using, and I saw a lot of comments on this app that I just uploaded into my phone. So I hope it's going to work out. Okay, don't forget, you must do your last one here on third space. You cannot forget it, because sometimes it's like so tiny and curved in that we seem to forget, and then we're missing stitches, okay? So now we're going to turn around again. We are going to be leaving the two double crochets again behind. We did this row, now we are on this row. That means we're decreasing from here and increasing here. So we started with 4, now we're going to have 2 of 4. That means 1 square, 2 squares, 3 squares, 4 squares, until we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares, until 10. So we're going to have 10 rows the same way, playing out the same way. Okay, so we're going to go up chain 3, 2, 3, and continue on the double crochets. Okay, I mean, it's so frustrating when somebody's trying to create something they can't really see. It's not focused enough, or the screen is not big enough to see the stitches. I could imagine, you know, like the cursing and stuff that some of you must have been doing already to my videos. I understand totally, and I really, really do apologize. But, you know, one person that doesn't know and understand too much about it, I mean, it's kind of complicated. Okay, don't forget, we're going to leave the 2 last ones behind, and we're going to come here in the center of this square and do 4 double crochets. So it's always a group of 4 double crochets, 1 chain separation for some and 2 chain separation for others. I'm doing only 1 because it's enough for me. One chain, skip 1, 2 on the third one. You continue on again with your double crochets all the way to the end. Okay, so continue yours. As you can see, it's starting to take shape. Okay, so I finished my row. I've turned around. I went up 3. And we're going to continue doing. Why do I have a feeling I'm going to knock my stand? My arm keeps hitting it. Oh, good God. We're going to go up 3 chain, and then proceed next space double crochet and double crochet, and we leave the last 2 double crochets. We don't do them because we are decreasing here on the sides. We're only going to increase the middle piece with the squares and the groups of 4 double crochet. Remembering that what you do on this side, you must do on the other side the same thing. We skipped the 2 double crochets at the beginning. 1 chain separation for me. For some of you, this 2 chain separation, depending upon your stitch, how tight or how loose. 1 chain separation, and we continue on doing our little blocks of squares and 4 double crochet. 1 chain again, continue on. One chain, we're going to skip the first 2 and we're going into the third one. So I'll meet you at the end. Well, actually, no. You're going to go up chain 3, continue doing your double crochets on the other side. And I'll meet you up here on the other side before the 2 double crochets we leave behind, okay? So as you can see, we are 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. Now we're going to do 5 squares. Okay, so I finished my row. I've turned around. I went up chain 3. I continue doing my double crochets. I'm going to skip the 2 here, and I'm going to build my little block of 4 double crochet. Now, if you find sometimes the video is too fast for you, you can go up top. There's 3 little dots. Go into the setting and slow down the video to the speed that you would like. Please, any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here to help you create these pieces. One chain, next square, we're going to do the 4 double crochets. 1 chain, skip 2, and into the next one. Now, we're going to do this until we have 10 squares, I believe I said. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you're going to be left with 2 double crochets at the end by always not doing the last 2. So continue yours, creating your blocks and your groups of 4. There's no point in me repeating constantly. The same rows are the same until you have 10 squares and 2 double crochet at the edges on the sides of the pattern. And then I'll come back to you on that, and we're going to start afterwards increasing the sides and decreasing the middle. Okay, just make sure you always grab your last double crochet here, because sometimes it's tricky. You think it's part of the other double crochet, but it's not. You got to make sure that you really grab it. Okay, so continue yours, and I'll meet you on the 10th square. Okay, so we have 10 squares here. That's the middle of the pattern. I'll meet you here on the 10th square with only 2 double crochets left. And then we're going to increase, and we're going to decrease. Okay, you guys, I just want to mention that when I came to my 10th row, which is the 10 squares here, my count wasn't properly, so I knew automatically. I started counting my double crochets, and I noticed that I had more on one side than the other. So I wasn't, to have the 10 squares here, I was like on the 11th row. So something was wrong. I had to recheck everything and notice that there was a mistake of over 2 stitches at the beginning of my first row. So I had to frog everything. I had to take everything down and recrochet everything again. So that means that I probably miscounted my chain stitch for some reason, and these things are common to happen. So, and I should know by now that even though I do, let's say 67 or 68, that's the right amount for the double crochets, I usually like to put an extra stitch just in case I missed out something or missed out an count. So I took it down and I added another stitch to it. So it doesn't matter if I tell you 67, you do 68, you're better off putting an extra stitch just to make sure that you probably made a mistake on the account, on counting them, and have an extra, because it's easier to take down the extra, and I'll show you here, than to be short and restart everything all over again like I just did, which I should know by now that I should always do 1 or 2 stitch extra. So basically you would come and you'd open up the good God, when you're looking for the word and you can't find, it's just so frustrating. The slip stitch knot, you open that up and you just pull the string, and you can take down the other stitch, and there you go. You close it, and pretty much it's done perfectly right on it now. And then obviously you can make your knot, like I always make knots on all of my patterns to make sure that nothing comes apart. So I already have a knot there. I'm just going to go through some of the double crochets here and hide my thread, and I'm going to make another knot just to be sure in between the loops here of the double crochet right on the bottom. So I'm going to make another knot here, and like this we are definitely sure that nothing is going to come apart and we are good to go. So just to let you know, it's always good also to look ahead up on the video, not only on mine but anybody else's videos that you are following, because as humans we can make a mistake, miscount the counting, and we must go back and refix it or adapt some kind of stitch to it, just if we're too far out. Sometimes we just adapt a couple of stitches just to have the right amount. So it's always best to look into the video up ahead before creating any piece. And that's not just in my video, that's in anybody's video. Sometimes creators, they will do these mistakes and they won't let you know, and they'll just go through, and then you're going to get lost in your pattern, what happened, and it's not matching up the same thing as the creator is doing. I like to mention when there's a mistake, because then this way you know where I'm coming from, you know where you're at, and you know the mistake was not only yours, it began with me. So better off that way. So anyway, so we are on the 2 double crochets. Like I told you, we'll be having the 2 double crochets at the end, which is exactly this one here. The 2 double crochets here. Now we're going to increase the double crochets here, and we're going to decrease the squares on the middle. So very simple, nothing to it. So basically and by the way, so if you count, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I was having 11 before I got to these 2, so that wasn't normal. So obviously I had to take everything down in order to have the correct pattern with the right amount of squares and groups. Some you can get away with, but other pieces you can't. You must take it down. And in my case, I had to take this one down. Okay, so we do the 2 double crochet overlapping or on top of the double crochet from the previous row, and we're going to do 2 inside of the square here. So now we're increasing, we're going back into the 4 double crochets here, as you see, and we're doing the 4 double crochets here. And 1 chain for me, for you, some of you might be 2, it doesn't matter, it doesn't change anything. It's either your hole is bigger or smaller. And we continue doing the 4 double crochets inside of the squares. And I am so excited for this app. I hope it's going to work out for the full screen. Like, oh my God, it's been stressing me right from the beginning of the channel when I first started with the other app that I could not put the full screen at all. It would not allow me, and I had no idea which one was best, which one could fit my cellular, because this is out of my cell phone. So, oh my goodness. Okay, so we continue doing the 4 double crochet groups inside of the squares, and the cat is coming around disturbing the dogs again. My goodness, it's every day. It's like I say, every recording I got these dogs going crazy over that cat. It's like the Garfield of the neighborhood, you know. But this Garfield comes to disturb the dogs. So anyway, what can I do, right? The dogs are there to protect the territory, so of course that's, you know, that's their job, is to bark, to let us know that there's a disturbance in the area, right? So we're going to continue. And then when we get to the edge here, we're going to increase again on the double crochets. So 1 chain separation for me, and we're almost there at the edge. Now we're on the last square here, as you see, where we have the 2 double crochets. We're going to add 2 only, because now we're going up. So we start 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? And we do 2 more double crochets on top of the double crochets from the previous row. So we turn around and we continue doing the same thing. Chain 3, next space double crochet, next space double crochet, and again double crochet. So we have the 4 from the previous row, and now we're going to add 2 more inside of here. So now we're adding by 2. We used to take out by 2, remember? And now we're adding those 2 back on in order to increase and decrease where we need to. Very simple pattern, and yet so gorgeous. You can use whatever colors you want. You can use a multicolored mix. You know, it's just a gorgeous pattern. You can use it for so many different things. Also, you can just leave it alone as is a pattern and just do a single crochet all the way around. Makes it beautiful, like a bedroom patterns for your dresser and night tables, things like that. And you can go the size you'd like by adding the motif. So basically this is what it is. And we're going to go down all the way to where we have 1, exactly like we started with 1. We're going to finish our motif with 1. So adding 2 all the time inside of the spaces. So you do your double crochets over double crochet, and you add 2 all the time. And then you continue to do the same thing on this side. You do your 1 chain or 2 chain, depending on your stitch, and you add 2 inside, and you have to always have the same amount here of double crochets as here. So I'm going to continue mine, and I'll meet you at the end. I'm only doing 1 motif because this one is with 2. I'm only going to do 2, and then we're going into the applications of the flowers. But if you want it bigger, then you continue repeatedly the same thing. So basically you're starting all over again. When you get here, it's like restarting again your first group of 4 and your 2 squares, and then 3. So, and then your motif continues as long as you like. You just repeat the same thing. Now, if you use something to mark your rows, good. If not, then you can use a piece of different color thread and you tie it onto the row that you're on so you don't make a mistake. So I'm going to continue doing mine, and I'll meet you at the end over here where we have 1 square left. And with that being said, you're supposed to end up with 20 double crochets on each side. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. So you're going to have 20 on this side, exactly how we started at the beginning, and 20 on this side, exactly how we started here too. So I'll meet you at the end, people. Okay, so we are pretty much on the last row, so chain 3. If you're doing only one motive, if not, then you're going to continue on repeating the same thing as we just finished doing. Now, make sure that you always count the first row, that you have the right amount of stitches. Most important is always the first row to have the right amount of stitch. If you make mistakes in the middle, that's always fixable. That's not a problem. We could always decrease and increase on the stitches. But the beginning first row, you can't. Once it's done, it's done. So make sure that you have your 20 on the right side, double crochet, and 20 on the left side, double crochet. Don't do like me, just, I stitch away and don't count, and then I have these issues that I have to take down everything to get the right amount. But since I am an honest person, I'd rather let you know what's going on than just continue doing the error and have you guys frustrated with your patterns. Better to know and be frustrated for that moment that it was the error done than to take down so many rows and restart all over again. It's very discouraging. So we're pretty much here on the square, as you see. So we have 2, 1 chain. So we're doing the first square exactly like we did at the beginning. 2 double crochet and continue to do the double crochets. Now, hopefully, I don't have too much of my memory taken away with this recording. If it is, I might have to go to part 2. I'll see after I finish doing this recording here. I have to check the memory if it's getting too full, because if it does, then it's going to start freezing, and we don't want that. You're going to get frustrated with your pattern if the video starts freezing up, right? So I'd rather do it in 2-3 parts and make sure you guys get it and get it properly than to have it all fogged out or keep freezing up on you. So sometimes I have to split them into 2-3 videos to make sure that everything is properly done. Now, when you think, when you see, or when I see these type of flowers or create them, I think of Easter, I think of spring, you think of Easter, you think of spring right away. And this is just perfect to brighten our days up. Okay, so our first pattern, motive, the motive is already created. I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to go any further than that because I only want this one. And I'm going to start adding the flowers onto it. So we started with 1 square and we finish with 1 square. If we were to do 2 motifs, then you know that you would have to start again as we did here. Now make sure that you have 20 on the left and 20 on the right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. And then again here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. So we have our 20. We know that we did a good job this time. Not like I did on the other one. It's just so frustrating when you have to take down a pattern just because of one little mistake, So you cut your thread, no matter how the length you're doing. And I will, with the 2 motives, even with this one, I will leave the size on the description box below so you can see how big, either you do it with 1 motive or 2, how big it's going to be. So very easy and very gorgeous, and remembering that you can use any colors you want. You can use light blue, dark blue, or just one color only, indifferent, whatever color you prefer. Okay, so that settles for the pattern. And I'm going to check my memory, see if I'm okay to add the the flowers. If not, I have to go to video 2 to add the flowers. Okay, you guys, it seems like I'm okay still with the memory. So basically, when you're going to add the flower on one side, you just have to count the same amount here and do the same thing on the other side. So whatever you do on one side, you know that all you have to do, if let's say you're skipping 5, then you know you have to skip 5 up top to have the same lined up flower, okay? And same goes with the side flowers. So you know that if you're adding it here, then you know that you have to add it here. You're going to skip one space. You're going to put it here. Well, you're going to do the same thing here. You're going to skip one space. You're going to put it here. So it's just basically to get the first one started. Once you get the first one started, you're good to go. Now, I will, like I said, leave the link for the flowers below on the description box. So if you want to create these flowers, you can go ahead and look into that or go through my playlist. There's other flowers there if you like to create. Now, the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you here. We're going to start by the corner. So I am going to put one flower here on the corner. So we're going to come here. We're going to, let me just take this down just to have the right amount. So remembering when you're creating all these middle pieces, you only create the middle and you leave the last one for the end because you need it to be attaching into the pattern. So you would start off, let's say you're starting, and of course you're going to see the video. So you do a single, one chain. Now we're going to do 2 double crochet, and you'll see that on the flower video. So 2 double crochet, and we're going to grab back to back the first one here, the first double crochet here we have on the corner of the pattern. We're going, oops, sorry, made a mistake already. Now, after you do your 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 chain. Okay, we need to do a 5 chain. I was almost making a mistake there. You know, sometimes you're just so concentrating on putting something on and you forget what you have to do. So you're going to come and do your, we have 5 chains, so we close in with a single. And in the next space, so you're going to do slip stitch. So you're going to have 4 slip stitch, right? Slip stitch, that's 3, and that's 4. That means you're going to be skipping one up front here, right? And then you come in and you do 2 double crochet, 1 chain. So we're doing the same thing here as we did here as we started. Okay, and then next space, single, 1 chain. And we're going to do the 2 double crochet, 1 chain. Now, this first flower is just put on alone, just 1 chain here, because all the other ones are attached to it. Okay, so this is like the corner one. So you have absolutely nothing else to do to this first one here, and you continue doing your paddles. So 2 double crochet, 1 single, 1 chain, and 1 single. Next space, single, 1 chain, 2 double crochet, chain, 2 double crochet, chain, and 1 single. So basically what you're doing, the 3 here, you have to do the 3 here the same way. Okay, next space, single and 1 chain. We're going to do 2 more double crochet. So it's a total of 6 with that single that we start off. Okay, so now we have 3. Okay, the single, the chain equals the double crochet, so we have 3. 1 chain, 2 double crochet. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 1 chain, and single would make your 6. Okay, and next space, the same thing. Single, 1 chain, 2 double crochet, 1 chain, 2 double crochet, 1 chain, and single. So we'd come here on the first one here, we're gonna close it in, slip stitch. We're gonna cut our thread, your yarn, whatever you're using, pull well so it can lock properly. You're gonna pass your thread or your yarn to the back. You're gonna come in between the little loops back here of the paddle. You're gonna hide your thread. Just like that. Now, as you know, I like to give knots to all my patterns. So where it's dark, I'm gonna, because the thread is dark, I'm gonna give it a knot here. I'm gonna pull well into it. And I'm just gonna hide a little bit more just so that tip of that knot is not showing or loose anywhere. And then you cut the excess off. And now you're secure that when it's gonna be washed or whatever the issue is, you are definitely sure that nothing is going to come apart. Okay, so we pretty much have our first flower put in. And this is how we are going to leave it. Okay? Now, I'm going to grab another middle piece that I had prepared. I'm going to slip stitch knot. Oh, and then now I'm going to create. The reason why I didn't create this and prepared it because it's the same color. I don't feel like cutting it all the time and have so many knots into my pattern. So I prefer to do it now. It doesn't take long to do this. Try to hide your thread or your yarn at the same time between stitches. So you go up 3 and next space. Remembering that when you're doing these 2 double crochets that it's lined up with the bottom one there, okay? I'm going to do 1, 2. 2 chain separation. I'm going to come into the, well, no, not 2 chain. I'm 2 chain separation. I'm going to skip 1, going to the next one. And 2 double crochet. 1, 2 chain separation, skip 1 into the next one. So we're going to do this all the way around. 2 chain separation, skip 1 into the next one. If it was one color, then, or 2 colors only, and I would have this the same color as this, then I would have gotten it prepared. But because it's the 2 last colors the same, I'm not going to be cutting and redoing and whatever, you know. So I prefer to do it this way and have it already doing it and adapt into the pattern. It only takes a few more moments of my time anyway, so it doesn't change anything. So we're going to continue on by skipping 1 and doing 2 double crochets, one next to the other. And again. Of course, everything is tight here because this is the first 3 chains that I went up. And of course, I tighten my stitch all the time so much. 2 chains, skip 1 and come into the next one. Trying to hide my thread here from the previous row. And then we're going to lock it in on 3rd space. Right up here. So it looks funny when it's like that, right? But don't worry about it because it's going to straighten out as we're going to do our paddles. So walk, I call it the walk. Walk through it with a slip stitch and come into the first square. So you're single, you're 1 chain. Double crochet, 1 chain, double crochet, 1 chain, and single. Next space, single, 1 chain, double crochet, Now, I'm going to attach the two ones that are next to the one that we attach. I'm going to attach it here because we're going this way, right? So after you do your 3 double crochet, no chain, no nothing, because as we're going to put it on here already with the single makes already a pretty much good space. So we've attached the first one in the middle where we have that one chain separation. On the other paddle, we're going to do the 2 double crochet, 1 single, one chain, 1 single. Okay, next space, single, 1 chain, and we continue with the 2 double crochet. So there you go, 3. We come back to back into the other paddle where we have that one separation between here, the paddle. We're going to go in with single. So now you have your 2 paddles already attached in. So now we have 2 double crochet, 1 chain, and 1 single. So you see that you have your 2 attached into it. Okay, now we're going to go into the next space and we got to do a 5 chain again. So single, 1 chain, 2 double crochets, and we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to put in on the same space back to back where we have the other 5 chain from the other flower. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to close it in with a single. We're going to skip 1 space here, the very close first one here. We're going to skip this one and we're going into the next one with slip stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to do 2 more double crochets in the center here on the same space to finish up our paddle. 1 chain and 1 single. Now we're coming into the next single, 1 chain, 2 double crochet, and now we're going to attach the first one into our pattern. Okay, so because I have this one, all I have to do is just see where I put it and just do it, right? Now before, of course, I did this one, I had to break my head to figure it out where I was going to put it. So we are in the corner here, so I'm going to count after the corner, not counting the corner chain, double crochet. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I now have to do it on after the 6th place. So I'm not going to count. I'm not counting this one here where it's attached. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I know it's right after. I'm going to come in with a single. I don't want this too loose because it shouldn't be too loose. Okay, so let me check again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm coming straight in, single. I'm going to grab my flower and finish it up with 2 double crochet, 1 chain, and single. Next space, single, 1 chain, 2 double crochet. We're creating the petals. Now, right after, I know that I have to, I'm going to, so we're here, the first double crochet here, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know it right after the 6th, I'm going to attach it in. So this is where we have it attached. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I know right after the 6th one, I am going to attach it in with single. Come back into my flower, my paddle, finish up my paddle. So very simple. Next space. So these flowers have to have 4 attachments in order to balance properly. It must be attached 4 times. So we finished here. So now we know that we have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one's on the 7th. We're going to do it right in the center where the square is. So very simple. So you know that you don't even need to count these ones here because this is the 4th attachment. Oops, we have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We need to do a 5 chain. We're coming into the middle square. We're going to put in a single. We're going to skip the first one here. We're going into the second slip. Slip, that's 2, 3, and 4. Come back in, and we have our 4 places that we needed adapted onto the pattern. So basically, very simple. And we do the 1 chain, we finish creating our petals. So nothing to it, very simple. And of course, you know, by doing it on this side, I almost knocked my camera down, good God. So by attaching it here, obviously all I had to do was copy the same amount of stitches here. I've copied it here and it ends perfectly, right? So as you can see, so it's attached into 4 places, and it's very important that it's attached into the 4 places. Okay, so we have the 2 attachments on the corner. We skip 6, we attach after the 6 with a single. We skip 6 again, we attach again with the single, and then of course 5 chain and into the center of the square here, and finish up your paddle. Okay, so after you finish doing your paddle, you cut your thread, you fix your loose ends. I like to fix it right away. I don't like to keep anything for afterwards. I like to get rid of it, and I don't have to come back to it anymore. So you finish your paddling, you prepare your other flower, okay? So I will see you with the next flower. I have to still get it prepared like I just did with this one. And then I'll show you how we are attaching the 3rd flower, which is very simple. It's just the same way copying what we did with the 1st flower. Okay, so I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I pretty much prepared my other flower, and I did a few because I know I don't need to use all of these spaces yet. I mean these ones. So basically we're going to copy what we've done with this side here. So basically we know we have one to do here in the center, right? So you would do your single, get a little bit more of a close-up. 1 chain, and then do your other 2 double crochets, so that would equal with the single 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to grab our pattern back to back. We're going to do a single on it to close it in. We're going to grab our chain that we did. We're going to skip the first one here. We're going to the second one. Slip stitch. 3rd one, slip stitch, and slip stitch. We're going to continue to do our double crochets. 1 single, 1 chain, 1 single. Next space, single, 1 chain. 2 double crochets. And we're going to, as you see here, so we have it attached here. So you know you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to attach it right after the 7. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right after the 7 with a single. Come back and finish your paddle. 2 double crochet, 1 chain, 1 single. Next space, single, 1 chain, 2 double crochet. And again, we're going to count from this one here. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right after the sixth one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right after the sixth one, we're going to close it with single. Come back. We're going to continue our paddle. Chain and a single, next space, 1 single, 1 chain, 2 double crochet. And now we know that we've already attached the 2 of them here on the center, right? Exactly like we did here. And now we're going into the corner with the 5 chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Remembering that on the other side, you just have to copy what you just did on this side. Okay, so we're going to skip the first one here. We're going to the second one with slip stitch. Slip stitch. That's 3 slip stitch, and this is 4. Come back in, do your 2 double crochets, 1 chain, and single. Now we know we don't have any more attachments to do until the next flower. So we're just going to finish up our paddles. The rest of it all the way around. And continue on with the next flower. So I'm going to finish mine. I'm going to prepare my next flower. And I'm going to come back and we're going to start attaching at the edge. Then you'd come on your first one here, close it in with slip stitch, cut your thread, pull well, grab a smaller needle if you have. I like to use a smaller one because I don't want no holes to be bigger than what it's supposed to be. So I'm just going to go right through the loops here. I'm going to pass the thread through it. And I am going to make a knot as always. Pull well into it and go through some of the loops back here inside of the loops. Grab the thread or yarn, whatever you're using, and pull right through it. And then cut your excess thread or yarn off, and you have a nice perfect finish. Okay, so now we have now, as you can see, where I made a mistake already, I forgot to attach the 2 patterns here, but I'm not going to take it down. So this is where you can fix the issue, right? So basically you'd cut the same color, more or less, of your thread. You'd come into the, and this is good in a way for you guys to learn too, when there's a mistake, instead of taking like everything down, what you can do. So you'd come on the 3rd place where the 1 chain separation is. And sometimes mistakes, they happen like this, you know, and it's good for you to know. So you'd make a knot. Nothing's going to change on the pattern. You flip it to the back. You bring your strings to the back. You make another knot, and you're going to make another knot for sure, because you want to make sure that nothing is going to come apart. Okay? I mean, sometimes just crazy things like that that you miss out, you know? So instead of taking down the whole flower, which is way much more work, you would just grab your thread as if it was on there, you know. Pass it through the loops here. Nothing's going to come apart anyway because you have those knots on there, so no stress over it. And then you'd grab this one and you would pull through, and that saves you time from taking it down and redoing it again. So there's no point. It's not going to go anywhere because you have 3 knots already on the paddles. So this is pretty much done. So what do? So at least we have one covered. So sometimes it's okay when there's certain mistakes that happen, because it's the only way really I can explain to you sometimes how you're going to fix it without taking it down. Certain things you can fix without taking it down, like in this case, right? So I'm pulling, if I have this, yes, I have it in the center. So I'm pulling the thread to the front, right? I'm going to give it a knot, like that. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to pass the thread to the back and give it 2 more knots. Sometimes you just miss it without realizing that you missed. So make another knot. So I'm making 2 knots already. This is not going to go anywhere. Okay? And then you'd come and you'd pass the first string on this side. So you have one going to one side and one going to the other side. Pass it through here. And if you want to make another knot on it, you can through, oops, almost knocked down my camera, through the loops. Give you an example. So I passed halfway through the loops. I'm making another knot. And I am just going through a few more just to get a little bit more in. And there it is. So I had forgotten to start by here, where we're supposed to start and go along. No problem. I started here. Well, it's added in now. I'm going to prepare my next flowers so we can continue on and add it here to the end, exactly like we did on this side. Okay. Okay, so I've prepared my flower. Let's not forget now to start adding on like I did. But like I said, it was good that I did miss, because like this, now you know what to do instead of taking it down. So we're going to grab the first petal here, back to back, right in the center where we have that 1 chain separation. We're going to do a single. We're going to finish creating our petal. Next space, single, 1 chain, 2 double crochet. We're going to grab the back part of the other petal. We're going to go where we have that 1 chain separation. Finish creating our petal. I hope my memory is not getting too full. If it is, people, I'm going to have to go to part 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We are coming into where the other, right in the corner, where we have the other chain. So we're going to skip 1. We're going to go into the second one with slip, third one with slip, and the fourth one with slip. Come back and finish our petal, and continue to finish the rest of the petals because we are not attaching anymore to this flower. Now we need to create the other flowers and just keep adding on, okay? Now it's the neighbor's dogs. Oh my goodness, people. I go nuts with all these dogs around here. I love dogs, don't get me wrong. I have 3 of them. But the cats around the neighborhood, it's like insane. They drive the dogs up the wall. Oops. Okay, so as you see, so we have the other flower here attached into the 3 place with the 5 chain, the same way as we have it here attached into 3 place. So you know that what you're doing here, you have to do it here on this side, okay? So you just follow the same thing as you did on here. I'm going to get my next flower prepared, and I have to check the memory, and if it's too much, I'm going to have to go to part 2.